Hi there. Hello, cuties. How's it going? We are all here, members of Stream Queens, for the non binary and gender non conforming visibility panel, kicking off Stream Queens Con 4. Oop, I think we lost somebody.
Oh,
My name's Alexis Atari. I am a drag VTuber, a clown, a dumb bitch who makes paper dashes, and your moderator for today. I'd like to pass it around and have everybody introduce themselves shortly, starting with Queen Pib. Hey, how you doing there, Pib?
Hey, how you doing? I'm Queen Pib, Patricia Inga Bogart. You may also call me Trish, though I don't have quite the forward chest cavity today, so you can just call me Pibby. I play old timey games on a Twitch. I don't know so much that my I identify as gender fluid, but it's one of those things where I try not to focus too much on the labeling, and I just do whatever the hell it is I do. And I guess if that's what it matches, it's what I do. So I figured for today, maybe I just hang out somewhere in between the binary. It's all up real nice for y'all.
Hell yeah.
I'll pass the mic.
there
Who's
we go.
next?
For some reason, it just dropped me out of the call.
Prince, you're up. Welcome back in. How are you doing today? We're doing self introductions, telling
Hi.
people who we are and what we do.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes, hot seat.
Oh, hi. I'm Prince
Hey,
Harming.
cutie.
Um, I have power in like 5 outlets out of our apartment, so I am here. I do DBD. I identify as non-binary, and I'm a little out of it right now. Hi.
The first show of the day, we're allowed to be a little loopy.
Yeah, non-binary people everywhere are like, "Wow, you're tired out of it? Relatable. Relatable." Thank
Down.
you. Thank you for being here, Prince Harming. We're so happy to have you. Marisol, how are you doing today?
Hi. Awake, alive.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know more about me? So
I
true.
do.
Hi, I'm Marissa Lords. I'm an award-winning Peruvian drag queen. I stream on Twitch 5 nights a week and also work a full-time job and perform part-time. So if you ever see me tired, just know I am alive. Like today. Um, I identify as non-binary, slowly pushing um the lever over to gender fluid. It's been a new concept to me that I've been slowly experimenting with. Recently, fully diverged from strictly they them pronouns to they she. So yeah, so here's to that.
Hell yeah. Welcome in, Marisol. As a fellow she, they, I love the possibilities of the non-binary and gender non-conforming spectrum. I'd like to finish it off with one of our newest members of Stream Queens. Welcome in, Stabby Happy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. So, my name is Stab Happy the Clown. You can call me Stabby Happy. I am a non binary drag artist, streamer, and performer. I stream at least once a week on Twitch. It really varies though. I usually play really cute, cozy games. I also like games like Five Nights at Freddy's and Splatoon. And yeah, I identify as non binary. That kind of looks different for everyone. I just don't fit into the gender binary. I am somewhere in between, outside. I am both. I am neither, that kind of thing.
Thank you, Stab. What a great segue to what this panel is going to be all about. Also, I have to note that I'm living for your statement. I like playing cozy games such as Five Nights at Freddy's. Very cozy, extremely. So yes, the non-binariness of it all is why we're here today. Before we jump into more of a discussion about how each of us identify in our exploration with gender, I wanted to take a moment to define some terms we'll be using to talk about ourselves and our journey with gender to make sure everyone's on the same page. A lot of us may already use these words commonly, but I think it's worth going over. So first of all, let's define cisgender. Marisol, you're up. It's yes, it's that's the definition, the hand wave.
No, that's anti-cisgender. Cisgender means to identify as something you were born at birth. Yes, maybe no. I don't know. I didn't read anything.
That's okay. That's how I understand it as well, that you identify with the gender you were assigned at birth. That's it. Um
Air horn
I,
sounds.
I look I saw somebody join the doc. There's no definitions there. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Gender fluid. I might Google that one, but anyone want to take gender fluid? My understanding is that gender fluid is your gender is fluid.
That's pretty much the closest approximation I have for me. Where like some days, I prefer to be more masked. Some days I prefer to just jam the lever all the way to the other side, and some days I just prefer to exist somewhere in the middle. It just kind of depends on the vibe, I suppose. And
Yeah,
it's also
that's
a
all
really great
gender.
flavor for things. Gender fluid.
Yeah, that's all gender is a bunch of levers and knobs. You
Yeah.
just dial them up, press them, flip them. Next one is non-binary, which again is pretty self-explanatory, but it just means that you do not identify on the binary spectrum of male and female. So you can even be like a non-binary woman. You still identify as a woman, but you don't identify with the gender roles that are associated with the binary gender. Like women should, I don't know, be hyper feminine and cook and clean and all these other terrible stereotypes that the Western world has forced on our society. But yeah, anyone else want to add to the definition of non-binary isms? No,
I mean,
perfect.
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah. And next one I wanted to find is, non-binary has a lot of terms underneath the umbrella that it is in, such as demi-boy, demi-girl, agender. I think agender is another one great to note because while a lot of people in the gender spectrum like to, go super femme, super masc, a little bit of both, a little bit of that. A lot of people also, it's their goal to just be sort of genderless, and that's what agender is. Did I miss anything? Anyone else want to help define or clarify any terms that you might be speaking on before we move on?
No, I think you
No?
got this.
Great. We got this. Thank you for coming to class today.
Is there a test on this? We're gonna be
Uh,
graded.
yes, absolutely.
Oh,
I'm sending I'm sending the Google form link out later. I will grade you. Um, all right, let's see. Next, let's move on with a question and to kind of preface some of the deep dive conversations we're going to get into today. Let's talk about, what a lot of us are here doing on Twitch is drag. And let's talk about how your gender identity relates to your drag or doesn't. For me, for example, I am a beautiful bearded non-binary woman in drag, and it's very important for me to represent fuzzy femmes, hairy women, and non-binary gender fluidity. So my drag is very closely tied to my identity, and I love it. How about you, Savvy?
It's funny. I recently rebranded. My last drag persona was she they, and it just stopped feeling right at some point. So Stabby is non-binary. But what I love about drag is it gives me space to pretend, play this hyper feminine role that I've always resisted in life. It's like a safe space for that.
I vibe with that too because I feel like drag was the first time in my life I felt safe to express a feminine side of myself, and that led to opening up more doors with just being more authentically me. How about you, Prince Harming? How does
Well,
your
I'd say
oh, sorry, go ahead. I just no, go ahead.
I'd say my drag definitely feels more binary than I've ever felt. Like I have drifted more towards just a general non-binary space and using they them pronouns and not really caring about my gender that much. But when I do drag, I like to solidly be like, oh, that's a he him. That's a he him right there. So it's like it's fun because I get to play with all the masculine stereotypes and ideas that I typically don't want to have much to do with, but in drag they're more fun to play with.
Also, gotta say, I vibe with that as well and have been hella curious lately to be like, what if I just went out in hyper masculinity drag? What it would be fun, I think. So I really like that drag can be such a safe place for non-binary people to explore our gender and just sort of figure things out. How about you, Pib? How does your gender identity relate to or not relate to your drag persona?
Well, my drag persona, I generally tend to use it to sort of explore the more feminine side of me that I wasn't born with, but damn it, I'm gonna do it anyway. And maybe there's some days where it's just throw it together. Now if I put on the wig, let's put on a show. And then some days it's okay, I'm in the moment. I like what I'm seeing. I'm in love with this. Let's just rock. Primarily my drag is hyper feminized, she, her pronouns. I'm like, look, I'm in drag. These are the pronouns. This is the show we're putting on here. But for example, like right now, someone throws she, her at me, he, him, they, them. I don't care. I'm just presenting as me doing whatever it is I'm doing. But when I'm in drag, it's it's definitely awakening something that's always kind of been in there, and then I can explore it. I can decide if I want more of it or if it's just a thing I just want to do every so often that just makes the parts of my brain happy that couldn't have done that, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. It is binary, but the way it is being done goes against the concept of it because I keep dancing back and forth because it's just how I feel and it's what I want to do. At least that's what I think.
I'm hell yeah. I'm loving all this non-binary joy I'm hearing from everyone about how drag has been a place for them to really just embrace the possibilities. How about you, Marisol?
Hey, it's me. I would say that Marisol as an entity has really opened my eyes to like the entire side of femininity that I was not allowed to have growing up. Like I've never quote unquote been in the closet. I've always been very like openly gay. But even within that, I was never allowed to be feminine. So when I started doing drag, it kind of opened my eyes to like the femininity. And Marisol has always been like she, her, and myself out of drag at that point had only been he, him. And so to be able to explore both sides, it kind of came together to what I kind of do now in terms of gender expression, both in and out of drag.
Well said. So continuing on talking about drag for the next little while, I know that we all have uh talked about how much, a lot of joys of drag. But let's talk a tiny bit about the struggle in drag, especially with our drag siblings, not always maybe what's the right word? Not always giving space for people to explore gender fluidity and non-binary drag on the stage. I'm curious, in everyone's opinion here, what are some harmful stereotypes that you felt, experienced, heard in drag toward non binary individuals? And if you'd like to also offer maybe some way you've overcome that or some way you can dispel um, that stereotype, I think we'd all love to hear that as well. I'll start. It's very obvious. It's right on my it's right on my face. And when I'm not two dimensional, I also have a beard in and out of drag. And it is the number one question I always get, whether I'm on Grinder, whether I'm getting tipped on stage, whether, I'm at the bathhouse, sweetie. People always ask me, are you going to shave the beard? The answer is no. I'm just bearded, sweetie. And I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is that people can't get over about like makeup and a beard or makeup and facial hair or femininity and facial hair. Like there's just something so ingrained in the binary that that shouldn't exist together. And frankly, I don't get it because I clearly remember one of the first drag performers I saw in San Francisco, Grace Towers, very gorgeous, beautiful, bearded drag queen. And I was just like, wait, this is possible? This is hot. I like this. Why aren't more people doing this? And I've never looked back. So it's always something that I encounter, but it's something I'm very happy to stand up and say, no, bearded drag is valid. Bearded women exist. Fuzzy femmes are beautiful. And if you don't like it, okay, I guess, but you're missing out, is my opinion. But I'm curious to how the rest of you have, uh, overcome some of that adversity and what stereotypes you think are out there for non binary drag performers. Let's start with Marisol. On
Oh,
the spot, girl.
you're
Oh yeah,
pointing the gun at me.
yes, we're reversing the order.
I would say that a big stereotype is that and I've encountered this. Like I personally have not had to go through with it, but I've had heard a lot about it. That like non-binary people are just depressed people who don't bathe, which I mean, like it has happened in my scene. And so to combat that, I shower. Also that that non-binary people are strictly into kind of like alternative drag, which alternative drag is absolutely sexy, beautiful, and stunning. But not all of us do. Like for instance, myself, I call myself a top 40 queen because I mostly perform top 40. But do I do alternative? Sometimes, but not all the time. I turn off my mic. Bye.
I never thought about that too. That's a really good point. And I also, I would call myself a top 40 queen, but I love the pageantry of it all. You know I do, sis. Like Stabby, how about you? What are some stereotypes you've encountered or overcome in the drag world against non-binary folk?
I feel really fortunate where I'm at in Portland. There are so many trans non-binary performers, and at this point I don't get out that much, so I'm sure at some point I'll experience some of this, but for the most part people have really been understanding and accepting. I find that out of drag it's where I run into the things like where people expect if you're not androgynous, then you're not non-binary, and I don't think non-binary people owe anyone androgyny, you know.
Agreed. Agreed. That's what, honestly, that's what I love about non-binary as an umbrella, a spectrum, an identity, a way of life, is that both things can be true. You can be androgynous, but nobody owes you that. Possibilities. How about you, Queen Pib?
Well, one of the things that always, whenever someone encounters me for the first time, is they'll usually go in on the voice because while I do present when I'm in drag hyper feminine, the voice is decidedly anything but. I'm going with more of my traditional indoor speaking voice, but when I really get going, I very much decidedly sound like a Hoboken truck driver or something like that. And what'll happen more often than not is someone will come in and they'll throw out the comparison to Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, iconic character from Venture Brothers. And the thing is like the next couple of things they'll say, I can tell whether they mean it as a compliment or as an insult. Because the thing is, it can be done both ways. She's a character who's very much voiced by a very femme character, very much voiced by a hyper masculine voice. At least it's presented that way. But she also kicks the living shit out of everyone and doesn't take anyone's crap. So it's when someone comes in with that, I'm like, ooh, all right, we're towing the line here. Are we saying this as a compliment or as an insult? So it takes a little while to read as to whether or not that's the case or not. And more often than not, it's a compliment. It's when they say I'm Dr. Mrs. Disrespect. It's like, okay, now you're having fun. Now you're having fun. But I do get that sometimes because once the voice starts going off, or when I just start doing this, it's very much then to some extent there can be a voice appearance mismatch. But when I really start talking like this, then so it just really starts to break out some people's brains when you got the bobbies out there up in front, and damn it, I sound like I'm some old time prospector. So there's usually a grace
Prospecting.
period where I have to figure out, is this person being a jerk or are they being nice to me?
That is hard to discern in many situations. I would have to agree with you there. Prince Charming, I'm gonna pass it to you.
I haven't really encountered um, too much resistance to being non-binary in drag, but I think the number one thing that I encounter is very similar to what Stabby was talking about, which is like people have an idea of what non-binary is supposed to look which it's just not. I mean, there's not really like a look for it. So I think people get tripped up when they look at me and I look pretty masculine, but I don't really want to. I don't really see that as that invalidating my non-binary identity. But people look at somebody like me and they're just like, oh, that's just a man. And so I get dismissed a lot in that sense, I feel like, from people, or, I'll tell them my pronouns and they'll still just, I'm fine with he, him. I'm not really like offended if somebody calls me he, him, but like it does after a while go like, do you just think I'm a man? Because I don't really identify myself. And one second, I think maintenance is here. So carry on.
Good note to end on, but um, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. I think it's so important to have an open mind, both as whether you're cis, trans, non-binary, gender fluid, have the most open mind you can have when it comes to gender identity, especially for non binary folk, because the possibilities are literally endless. And some of the aversion we've just been talking about personally, and I've seen it happen to other people too. Sometimes that comes from within our own community, not even other cis people. Other trans and non-binary people have put these expectations on me um, on the stage or out of drag. And I think we can just, dream of a world where we can be a little bit more accepting and inclusive of each other because it's just more fun that way, first of all. But yeah, it's also makes other people happy. Um, Staying for a moment on the struggle, how do y'all handle those moments where someone may ask you a difficult, offensive, someone might misgender you, someone might really just be doubling down on their, what was it, comparing you to the Queen Monarch in a not so flattering light, really towing the line there. I'm curious to know how all of you approach those situations or react in those situations because I think that might be helpful to some of our viewers out there today to really hear how, you know, other people are navigating that in the world. For example, sometimes a question I get both on stream or in real life is, what are you? Or are you a girl? Are you a boy? What's going on? And I'm a clown. So I like to take it the most silliest of ways. I'm just like, what do you mean? Am I a girl or a boy? What is that? Can you explain that concept to me? I just don't understand. Like I just fully go clueless. And I think that really puts people on the spot sometimes to kind of fumble over their words and realizing they're asking quite an inappropriate question. Or sometimes I just get straight to it and people are like, "Are you a girl or a boy?" And I'm like, "So you do you want to see my genitals?" Like, and that usually they're like, "Whoa, no, no." I'm like, "Well, that's what you're asking, basically." Like, you're
Right. It's
kind of
like,
right.
are we
No,
having,
please jump in.
are we discussing, are we trying to be offensive? Or are we trying to ask an existential
Yeah.
question? It's like, hi, I just met you. Can we get to know each other before we get to the existentialism? If that's what you're doing here, can you give me like 5 minutes, please?
So yes, I often take the joking or silly or clueless route. How about you, Piv?
Well, well, again, it's going to a little bit hinge on how much patience I'm going to have for this person. If it's someone I'm rolling in, like, are you a boy or a girl? I'm like, I'm a fucking problem. Deal with it. But otherwise, if it's coming more from a place of genuine if it's coming more from a place of curiosity and it's it's not someone's opening line or anything, because it's like, hi, welcome to my home. Yeah, what's going on with that? Like, you want to maybe have a glass of water or something first, something like that. But well, I went again, the drag I'm in, despite what the voice appearance mismatch for traditional gender roles may be telling people, I say, hey, pronouns in drag is she, her. This isn't an option. This is what they are. And you can either make your peace with that, or I got more than a few months. We're very much happy to get into a competition, see which one you can clap you first. But it's again, it's very much going to relate on how much patience I'm willing to have to explain a concept is going to be directly proportional to do I think I'm going to get a Rhodes Scholar out of this person? And sometimes that answer is actually yes. A lot of times, if it's the first line, let's be honest here, it's probably not. But it's a lot of, again, you are you coming in with genuine curiosity from, well, there's also degrees of curiosity. Is it, so I want to know just because I don't understand the concept and you're weird, or because I like what you're doing and I'd like to get to know you a little bit better? So there's degrees to that too, and it's just a matter of reading the room, I suppose. No, Chad, you can't ask me a question.
Yeah, setting intention and setting boundaries is sometimes important before continuing on in those interactions, right? Prince Harming, we're talking about when you encounter those moments where someone might ask you an awkward question, an offensive question, misgender you. How do you approach those situations, or how do you navigate them? We're each talking about our own experiences and hope that people from the audience might find it useful.
I usually, unless I can tell somebody's just trying to get under my skin and trying to like undermine me or whatever I'm doing, I try to assume that if people are just curious and want to know but don't know how to ask. And so I try to always come at it from like that kind of perspective and try to give like an honest, constructive answer to them. But I don't waste my time with people if I can tell they're just trying to be like, look at this clown, look at this wreck, you know. So I try to give everybody grace, even if it does offend me a little bit, because the question is extremely probing and personal, and I probably don't know them very well. But I always try to approach it as if they're just genuinely trying to get some information, and maybe I said something or did something that resonates with them, and so they're curious about it. So I try not to turn anyone away, but unless they're obviously being mean spirited, then I'm just like, I'm not gonna waste my time with you.
Yeah, you got to pick your battles, right? Stabby, how about you?
I get the "Are you a boy or a girl?" question from time to time, and for the most part, I'm just like, "Honey, I can be whatever you want me to be." But occasionally, if I have like the energy, I'll try to like educate people on like what it means for me to be non-binary. And it's funny when I'm in drag and people misgender me, it's very easy for me to be like, oh, actually, I use these pronouns. But in my everyday to day life, I'm still not quite comfortable because I work in food service, so I'm constantly interacting with people and they're constantly misgendering me because I present pretty feminine, and I'm just not there yet. I dream of the day, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I feel that way when I interact with customer service in public. Like, I wish so much that they would gender me appropriately, but if they keep starring me over and over again, I'm like, you're not trying to be mean, but it don't feel good. Stop.
Don't
Like,
call me sir. I work for a living.
but yeah, I don't know. That's I think that speaks really to the power of drag too, that drag helps you advocate for yourself in situations that maybe you wouldn't normally. Marisol, you're up.
Hey, it's me again. Um, what was the question?
So when you encounter like a offensive question,
Oh,
misgendering,
yes.
awkwardness, how do you handle it?
So like I perform pretty frequently like in person, so that don't normally doesn't happen to me, only because like I'm very she her presenting in drag. And also Marisol originally is like strictly she her. It's only been like a slow transition into like they she for this entity that you're seeing right here. But in terms of like streaming, when like trolls come in and stuff like that and they ask me like either what are you, or like questions like that, I normally start off with I like read their username and I'm like friend or foe, determine right now, so it can save me the trouble. Or recently I've also started saying a menace, your mother, and like things of that nature, because I look at me, I am mother.
Mom. Hell yes.
That's pretty,
Thank,
yeah.
thank you, Marisol.
You're welcome.
Um, so we've been talking for a minute all about like struggles, adversity, which we do encounter in drag on Twitch in real life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I want to bring it back to a place of joy again, get a nice little sandwich going here. I would like to hear from everyone. We've heard already kind of how your gender identity, blah, 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 your gender identity is or is not related to your drag persona. I'm curious in what ways that has dive a little deeper into that, and I'm curious to know in what ways has it really influenced your drag. Yes, a deep dive. I fucking hate that word actually. We're
You
not
weren't
going
supposed to
to.
look at me when I did that.
Baby, I'm always looking at your gorgeous face. Are you kidding me? But I'd like to know more a little bit deeper into, ooh, yes, how
I point the
your
camera at
gender
you.
identity has really influenced your drag. I don't know what I'm gonna say yet, so let's give it to Stabby Happy first.
It's so funny because when I started really playing with drag, I really expected myself to be like this genderless monster, because I feel like that's how I feel inside, and it just came out so hyper feminine. Um, and I was very surprised. But like I said, it's a way for me to play with that. Whereas in my life, having it be an expectation from me, I never wanted anything to do with it. But yeah, so I did the she they for a while and was, just identified as like a drag queen. And it just I grew out of it, and I feel like um it just feels better for me to present non-binary in drag as well.
Prince, how about you? How has your gender identity influenced your drag?
Well, like I said earlier, it's kind of like a reversion of my actual gender identity. And so because I've sort of separated myself more and more from identifying as a man, it's like I find myself doing more super masculine and almost more like objectification of my own body, which is really fun in a weird way. To the point where if you've tuned in lately, like I basically look like if Rob Zombie was a go-go dancer. And it's been my aesthetic lately, and it's been really fun. It's like something that I wouldn't typically even like. It's not a side of myself I would have ever explored out of drag at any point. And so it's like as I drift more and more towards just like the middle lane of the highway, my drag is like veering into the meat, like off the shoulder into the woods. I don't know what that means. It's just
Where we're
I
going, we don't
mean,
need roads.
this metaphor is
exactly.
losing control, just like that car.
Y'all with the puns, I can't. Speaking of puns, I'm gonna need chat to drop as many Rob Zombie go-go dancer names as possible immediately. Please and thank you. Viv, how about you? How is your drag well, I guess you could flip the script. How has your drag influenced your gender identity, or how has your gender identity influenced your drag?
Well, I would say again because my drag is primarily hyper feminine. It's I don't know that so much something influences the drag, but sometimes the drag influences me outside of well the drag. Where I work, it's customer service, but it's not external facing customer service. I'm one of the IT dorks, so usually people don't care what you look like. They just want the computer to stop foaming at the mouth or whatever it is. So I get quite a bit of leeway to present how I want because again, I'm in IT. I'm either going to look clean cut or I'm going to look like I came out of a Rob Zombie video. So we have to, they're going to have to deal with that. But a lot of what I start doing in drag sometimes bleeds into what I wear outside of the drag. More feminized outfits, heels, lippies, big hoop earrings. I mean, I walked around Vegas with pants that did not come from the male side of the rack, and a lot of compliments. Portia was there. They heard some of those. And the more and more I have fun with it in drag, the more and more I'm like, let's try some of this stuff outside the context of it, just to see what happens. And let's say a lot of older women in the office really appreciate it. They go, "Oh my god, I love your boots. Oh my god, I love your lippy." They love the shit out of it. So I get to experiment a little bit outside of Queen Pib and just be whoever the hell I am.
Yeah, life's more fun that way, you know. Marisol, how has your gender identity influenced your drag? I'm curious. This talk more if you're open to it about this transition you've been talking about moving from Marisol being she her to she they, and like I feel like there's a moment there.
Yeah, so I flipped the script twice because my drag influenced my gender, and then my gender is now re-influencing my drag. Uh, so I would say that lately it's been more of not looking super hyper feminine in terms of my drag, because my drag is still very like female presenting, but it's more like leaning towards, on some occasions, like towards androgyny, whether that be like alternative, or just not wearing like styled hair, which I never really wear styled hair. If anybody knows me, I'm usually like in a clean middle part, like straight down, but that sort of thing.
Nice.
That was me diving deep.
So deep.
The pool is shallow.
I'm gonna take it. You crack me up. As for me, I want to say the drag really influenced me more than, well, maybe it's flipping the script twice like you too, Marisol. I don't know. But drag and gave me a place to not only explore gender more, like all of us have been talking about here, but also just how do I say this? You know, growing up in my early and mid 20s and then moving to San Francisco and going out there into the bars, I felt a lot of times I was being hella objectified. And people would come out up a lot. So, you know, I was identifying as a boy then, very masculine presenting. They'd come up, they'd be unconsensual. They'd just basically treat me like a piece of meat. And I hated it so much that I stopped going out and I almost never went out to gay spaces in San Francisco for like the first 3 years I lived there. In comes drag. And drag gave me this space and this like role, or it was like almost this predetermined role. You know, like you come out to the show, you're in your persona, you're presenting however you want to present. At least that's what I was seeing other people do in the Castro, and you could really come out and socialize with people and gay men and non-binary people and all the people in our community in a way that I hadn't been able to do before, because people would always just treat me like a piece of meat. So drag gave me this way to really reclaim the way I socialize with people as a non-binary performer and a non-binary individual, that it could be a little sexual if you meet me out, but like it also could just be friendly and fun. And drag really influenced me to be able to navigate our spaces like that, and rather just succumb to the expectations that people put on me when I was still like sort of stuck in the binary. But yeah, it's been great. um Let's see. We have a little bit of time left here. I'd love to take some questions from the audience. Do we want to take a few questions from chat, Dola? Momager, how do we collect the questions? Do we just grab one? Hell yeah, please. Oh, okay, so I'm just talking to myself like a Karma Mom asks, "How do you decide what persona you want to display in drag?" How do you decide what persona? Well, for me, I feel like my journey in life is always making the most of what I got. So I've really been embracing working with what I got. You know, the beard. Lately, because of HRT, I've had some more feminizing body changes too. So I'm like kind of ditching the pads a little bit now and like just embracing what I got. And that changes over time, which is so fun. Embrace what you got now and look forward to and dream big, of what you want to present in the future. Just go for it. How about you, Marisol? You're nodding, you're deep diving.
The pool is shallow, but I'm diving deep.
No
Trust.
diving.
Um, I would say once, yeah, I can definitely agree how it's ever changing. Like when I first started is not the same like either confidence level or same aesthetic as I first started with. So always keep in mind that your aesthetic may change, may evolve. But ultimately just having fun is like the biggest thing. Just as long as you're feeling good, you're looking good.
I can get down with that. Pib, how do you go about deciding when you were first creating Pib, what kind of you wanted to present as your persona?
I I just wanted to be like so many of the things that inspired me. I mean, some of these things are actually gonna I've stolen actually from Deer's drag inspiration list. We share some common threads, but you have your Jill Valentine's, your Ivy Valentine's, Jessica Rabbit. Though she's pretty much on almost everyone's, and I won't accept no for an answer. Whereas just I want to kind of flip the script. I want to be this busty, big hipped, huge ass person who also sounds like she's a chain smoker from you know Hoboken. And oh, sometimes I play around a little. Sometimes you do a sub character. We were playing RoboCop, and I sounded very monotone while we were playing RoboCop. But it depends on the mood. Sometimes I play I because it's the character. Sometimes there are sub characters, but we have fun with it all the same.
Play around, draw inspiration from iconic characters, celebrities. I feel like there's a huge history of drag with doing like celebrity impressions, cosplay looks. Stabby Happy, how do you go about deciding what you kind of want to present from the void?
It just kind of depends on my mood. I mean, I have a drag king character that I play sometimes, Skelly Tom. But sometimes I cosplay. Um it was funny, when I started out, I really wanted to be a monster. That was like the main thing. And I was really surprised how hyper feminine I came out. But, I think about it now and it makes sense. Just um but yeah, it just kind of comes out of me.
We just exude drag. We slowly collect our sweat and distill it into a scientific potion that tells us the answers. uh Harming seems a little busy over there, so let's move on to the next question unless you'd like to. Okay, we were good. Zola, do we got another question? Hmm. I personally like the air horn technique. Every time someone misgenders you, just blare an air horn in their face. They'll catch on board right away.
I was gonna say baseball bat, but air horn's probably a little bit nicer.
A little less violent for the children, yes. But I don't know. For me, it depends on how much energy do I want to put into that. Like I know I know who I am, and I know that the people that I keep close around me and spend a lot of time with, it's already a non-issue. They're already going to respect my identity and my pronouns, or they're at least going to be making an effort that I can see. Um, so yeah, I think I shut it down immediately is how I handle it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep reiterating it until you understand that they them is a thing. But some days I'm too tired to do that. How about you, Pip?
When I initially, before I did the drag, I was doing a lot of gender non-conforming looks where I would, like, a lot of the same outfits I used for drag I was using before then. And back then I didn't care what pronouns were used, but when we started transitioning more into a more femme look and I was doing what I guess I would call my version of drag, I did start to enforce pronouns, though I wasn't as strict with it at the time. I was like, look, she, her. If I'm not in drag, I'm not fussy about it. And there was this little bit of a sliding escalation scale to it because it's like initially it's like, look, I'm doing this not just because I want to be a jerk to you, but not everyone may be as understanding if you get it wrong as I am. So we're enforcing it just to get you used to the idea. And generally, I don't really see too many flubs. There could be some people who know me from before who messed it up, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, if someone keeps getting it wrong, and we're human beings, we're going to screw it up on occasion. The wrong thing is going to come out, and we'll correct it or just try to, you know, make things right. But at some point, I would have to tell a person who keeps getting it wrong, much to what you said, that if you respect me, you're going to make an effort to get these right, because otherwise I'm only going to take you. I'm only going to take you as far as I'm willing to take you.
Yeah, you got to advocate for yourself. Unfortunately, is the the solution sometimes, and it's totally okay if you know you don't have the energy to, or you don't want to, and you just want to leave it. But I encourage you to advocate for yourself and the respect you deserve. Absolutely. Stabby, Marisol Prince, do you have anything to add to how you might deal with somebody who is repeatedly misgendering?
Hmm.
I
I
think
once again. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go for it.
I just think that you gotta tell people because they're not gonna know, And like I said, I struggle with that out of drag, but yeah.
Harming.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I definitely. It doesn't bother me so much, but I am the person that will, at every given time, when we're talking about anyone else, I'm gonna be the asshole that corrects you every single time, and it's gonna feel bad, but you're gonna learn if you actually care, because you kind of have to be a little firm with it, especially if it really does matter to you. You really need to. You just have to be very firm with people, and if they're going to repeatedly disrespect you, then
Yeah.
they may not be
Uh,
worth your time.
so another
That one.
solution is to keep great friends like Prince Harming, who will be the asshole in the room. Marisol, how about you?
No, that pretty much covered it in terms of verbiage. Definitely stand your ground, be very firm with your gender identity. Like the people who will get it. The people who don't are not worth your time.
Period. Literally not worth your time. That's how I feel a lot lately. Like, and I used to struggle with that because I don't consider myself like a mean person. I try to be kind to everyone that I meet and friendly and open, but setting boundaries for yourself and really knowing when someone is worth your time and when it's just an exhausting battle that will drain your energy that you should be saving for the other more awesome people around you is, a skill to develop. Um But we're almost out of time here today, unfortunately. I know we got more questions. If you still want to give questions to Dola, I'll try to collect them and share them with the panelists. You can come into our Twitch channels and chat with us when we're streaming ourselves. You can maybe I'll tweet some answers to these questions later. I don't know. Follow us on social media. So let's go around, and I would like everyone to give a closing statement and tell everyone where they can find you next and what kind of stuff they can expect from you and your badass non-binary gender non-conforming self. Pib, let's start with you.
Well, I'm Queen Pib again. When I'm in drag, I generally am not wearing a fancy pantsuit and the bro line glasses, but I play old timey retro stuff. Sort of a current events, current affairs, communist bent about it as well. Live on twitch.tv/Queen Pib. Won't be until next Wednesday. I got a check engine line, so I'm seeing a doctor on Monday. But other than that, hey, you want to steal these dumb voices? You want to hear all these dumb things? You want to get both of those descriptors backwards? Check me out, please, and thank you.
Yeah, get your dipstick checked.
Yes. I love that I froze up. It just waited until then and then I locked up.
It's a perfect frame, honestly.
I have no notes. Well, I think we have our newest emote. Dola, there you go.
Hell yeah. Stabby Happy, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram and Twitch as stabby_happy. I like to play a lot of cute games. I've been playing Wildflowers lately. I love Animal Crossing, Splatoon, and then I play games like Mario Party and Jackbox. I've been into Five Nights at Freddy's lately. But I always stream Tuesday night, 6 p.m. PST. This one, I have a cult in Animal Crossing, and we take this sweet, cute, wholesome game and make it really spooky and just kind of wrong.
Oh my
So
god, wait, I've seen that before. It was so cute and like creepy and awesome. I remember that.
yeah, so we'll be doing it again. It's been a while, but
Fantastic. I'll have to tune in.
please.
Marisol, where can people find you next?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Marisol Lords, MARISOL LORDS. Once again, I'm an award-winning Peruvian drag queen. I stream Dead by Daylight and play other games on other occasions when feeling up to it, but I'm primarily back to being a full-time Dead by Daylight creator.
Fantastic. Prince Harming.
Once again, I'm Prince Harming. I'm a drag king streamer here, and you can find me at twitch.tv/Prince_Harming. Play a lot of DBD, play a lot of old school survival horror games. And you can catch me later tonight at the King's panel as well, where I will be in drag, I swear. And yeah, please, Marisol, please. It will happen. But yeah, you can find me on TikTok. You can find me on lots of places, I guess. Yeah, that's it.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Well, my name is Alexis Atari. You can find me also on all social media platforms, but mostly I'm on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter lately. I'm trying to make a comeback to Instagram, but all my handles are ALEXISATAURI because you know she's European. She doesn't shave. But but I do drag not so much on Twitch anymore. I've been into live 2D animation for VTubing. I have my own Demon Fairy VTuber model Lexi, and I'm so happy that today I am debuting to you all the first head, mouth, and eyes animation for a model that I have drawn and animated myself. I've been doing live 2D for about a year because it's another medium I really want to explore drag in. So if you ever want to learn more about live 2D animation, check out my Twitch channel. There's lots of VODs. We try to do live 2D once a week. And every Tuesday, I'm making stickers on stream. So there's a lot of cool stuff. I'm kind of like a grab bag of sorts, but you can always be in for a good fuzzy time with me. Alexis is hard. I appreciate you all being here today for the Stream Queens 4 Con. Don't go anywhere. We have a full schedule for the day. Oh my gosh. That's all I'm going to be doing today is live 2D and watching Stream Queens Con 4. So thank you all for kicking it off with us, your non-binary, gender non-conforming panelists, Stabby Happy, Marisol Lords, Queen Pib, and Prince Harming. Thank you all so much for joining me. And shout out to Dola and Chad for help making this all happen behind the scenes. We love you all so much. Yeah, just